This video is brought to you by Exfoliate. These videos have three purposes. One, to talk about a remedy that Young Living recommends for a condition. Today's condition is, well, the nervous system, a general overview. It says the nervous system is a network of nerve cells that regulate the body's reaction to external and internal stimuli. The nervous system sends and receives nerve impulses to and from organs and muscles throughout the body. The body relies on these impulses to function. The nervous system is comprised of the central nervous system, which is the brain and the spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system, which is the other nerves. The peripheral nervous system is comprised of the somatic nervous system, nerves that connect to the skeletal muscles, and sensory nerve receptors in the skin, and the autonomic nervous system, nerves that connect to the cardiac and smooth muscles under the organ tissues, and systems that don't require conscious effort to control. The autonomic system is divided further into two main parts: the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous systems. The sympathetic nervous systems function to accelerate heart rate, increase blood pressure, slow digestion, and constrict blood vessels, and it activates the fight or flight response in order to deal with threatening and stressful situations. The parasympathetic nervous system functions to slow the heart rate, store energy, stimulate digestive activity, and relax specific muscles. It allows the body to return to a normal and calm state after experiencing pain or stress. And the oils that Young Living recommends for those nervous systems is peppermint. It says it soothes and strengthens. You place it on your wrist, or actually right on top of the location of any nerve damage. Basil is a stimulant and used for nerves breakdowns. Lavender, lemon, grapefruit. Peppermint is a stimulant. Frankincense, sage, copaiba, lemongrass for nerve damage. Juniper for better nerve function. Rosemary, balsam for bergamot. Brain power, that's a blend. Calamus, cedarwood for nervous tension. Cinnamon bark, cumin is stimulate the nervous systems. Geranium regenerates the nerves. Ginger and jasmine is for exhaustion. Marjoram, soothing. Nervous tension is melaleuca, I think that's tea tree. Nutmeg for supporting the nervous system. Orange and palmarosa, also supportive. Reestablish nerve equilibrium. We have peace and calming and pettit grain. I think that's an edible. We have pine stimulant, Roman chamomile, lavender sage, sandalwood, spearmint, spruce is for fatigue, and valerian is a central nervous system depressant. And then we have a personal care line. I've used that one. It's a cream, Regenolone, that says helps nerve regeneration. And supplements, we have sulfurzyme, I love that one. Mineral essence. For nervousness, just being nervous to help you calm down, is orange, cypress, goldenrod. A blend we have called Surrender, and tangerine. And then for the Bible, we're actually reading right from the Bible, Ezekiel 44, the use of the east gate. He brought me back to the outer gate of the east gate of the sanctuary, and it was shut. The Lord said to me, "This gate will be kept shut. No one will open it or go through it, since the Lord, the God of Israel, has been through it. And so it must be kept shut. The prince himself, however, may sit there to take his meal in the presence of the Lord. He is to enter and leave through the porch of the gate. And he led me through the north gate of the front of the temple. And I looked and I saw the glory of the Lord filling the temple of the Lord, and I prostrated myself. And the Lord said to me, Son of man, Pay attention. Look carefully. Listen closely. Everything I explain. These are all the arrangements of the temple of the Lord and all its laws. Be careful about which men are admitted to the temple and which are excluded from the sanctuary, and say to the rebels of the house of Israel, the Lord says this: you have gone beyond all bounds with your filthy practices, house of Israel, by admitting aliens uncircumcised in heart and body to frequent my sanctuary and profane my temple, while you offer my bread, the fat, the blood, and break my covenant with all your filthy practices. Instead of performing your duties to me in the holy place, you have deputed someone else to perform your duties in my sanctuary. The Lord says this: no alien or uncircumcised in heart and body is to enter my sanctuary, none of those aliens living among the Israelites. As regards the Levites who abandoned me when Israel strayed far from me to follow its idols, they must bear the weight of their own sin. They are to be the servants in my sanctuary, responsible for guarding the temple gates and serving the temple. They will kill the Holocaust and sacrifice for the people and hold themselves at the service of the people, since they used to be at their service in front of their idols and were an occasion to sin to the house of Israel. Very well, I raise my hand against them. It is the Lord who speaks. They must bear the weight of their sin. They are never to approach me again to perform the priestly office in my presence or to touch my holy things and my most holy things. They must bear the disgrace of their filthy practices. I shall give them the responsibility of working in the temple. I shall make them responsible for serving it and everything done in it. As regards the Levitical priests, the sons of Zadok, who did their duty to me in the sanctuary when the Israelites strayed far from me, they may still approach me to serve me. They may stand in my presence to offer me the fat and blood. It is the Lord who speaks. They may enter my sanctuary and approach my table to serve me. They may perform my liturgy. Once they enter the gates of the inner court, they are to wear linen vestments. They are to wear no wool when they serve inside the gates of the inner court in the temple. They are to wear linen caps on their heads and linen breeches on their loins. They are not to wear belts and there's this has 3 dots in here, like it's not filled in. This is Ezekiel 44, line 19, not filled in. When they go out to the people in the outer court, they are to remove the vestments in which they have performed the liturgy and leave them in the rooms of the holy place and put on other clothes, so as not to hallow the people with their vestments. Now when you go to my website, they say not to hallow the people, hallow. This King James says, when they go forth into the utter court, even to the utter court to the people, they shall put off their garments wherein they ministered, and lay them in the holy chambers, and they shall put on other garments, that they shall not sanctify the people with their garments. They are neither to shave their heads, nor to let their hair grow long, but must cut their hair to a reasonable length. No priest is to drink wine on the day he enters the inner court. They are not to marry widows or divorced women, but only virgins of the race of Israel. They may, however, marry widows if the widow of a priest. They are to teach my people the difference between what is sacred and what is profane, and make them understand the difference between what is clean and what is unclean. They are to be judges in disputes. They must judge in the spirit of my statutes. They must follow my laws and ordinances at all my feasts and keep my Sabbaths holy. They are not to go near a dead man in case they become unclean, except in these permissible cases, that is, for the father, mother, daughter, son, brother, unmarried sister. Anyone of them has been purified, 7 days must elapse. Then on the day when he enters the holy place, enters into the court to minister into the holy place, he is to offer his sacrifices for his sin. It is the Lord who speaks. They are to have no inheritance. I myself will be their inheritance. You are to give them no patrimony in Israel. I myself will be their patrimony. Their food is to be the oblation, the sacrifice for sin, and the sacrifice of reparation. Everything in Israel is put under the ban, shall be for them. The best of all your first fruits of every sort of dew and of all that you offer is to go to the priests. The best of your dough you are to give to the priests, so that the blessing may rest on your house. Priests are not to eat the flesh of anything that has died of a natural death or been savaged, neither a bird nor of any other creature. And the law section, it says under vicarious liability, a law firm may be held responsible if one of their employees acting within the scope of his or her employment breaches a duty owed to you. Vicarious liability is a form of strict secondary liability that arises under the common law doctrine of agency respondeat superior, the responsibility of the superior for the acts of their subordinate. Liability that a supervisory party, such as an employer, bears for the actionable conduct of all subordinate or associates, such as an employee, based on the relationship between the two parties. This section is indictment by a grand jury. A grand jury must have 16 to 23 members, and the court must order that enough legally qualified persons be summoned to meet this requirement. Alternate jurors, when a grand jury is selected, the court may select alternate jurors. The history of the grand jury is rooted in the common and civil law extending back to Athens and pre-Norman England, and the Assisi of Clarendon, promulgated by Henry II. The right seems to have been first mentioned in the colonies in the Charter of Liberties and Privileges, 1683. The grand jury is an English institution brought to this country by the early colonists and incorporated in the Constitution by the founders. There is every reason to believe that our constitutional grand jury was intended to operate substantially like its English progenitor. The basic purpose of the English grand jury was to provide a fair method for instituting criminal proceedings against persons believed to have committed crimes. Grand jurors were selected from the body of the people, and their works was not hampered by rigid procedural or evidential rules. In fact, grand jurors could act on their own knowledge and were free to make their presentation. Its adoption in our Constitution as the sole method for preferring changes in serious criminal cases show that the high place it held as an instrument of justice. And in this country and in England of old, the grand jury has convened as a body of laymen, free from technical rules, acting in secret, pledged to indict no one because of prejudice, and to free no one because of special favor. The prescribed constitutional function of grand juries in federal courts is to return criminal indictments. A witness called before a grand jury is not entitled to be informed that he may be indicted for the offense under inquiry, and the commission of perjury by a witness before the grand jury is punishable, irrespective of the nature of the warning given him when he appears, and regardless of the fact that he may already be a putative defendant when he is called. When the accused is in danger of being subject to an infamous punishment if convicted, he has the right to insist that he shall not be put upon his trial except on the accusation of a grand jury. The protection of indictment by grand juries extends to all persons except those serving in the armed forces. All persons in the regular armed forces are subject to court-martial rather than grand jury indictment or trial by jury. The exceptions limiting words when in actual service in time of war or public danger only applies to members of the militia, not to members of the regular armed forces, says O'Callaghan versus Parker, 1969. Even under the service connection rule, it was held that offenses against the laws of war, whether committed by citizens or by alien enemy belligerents, could be tried by military commission. And I'm getting that from Indictment by a Grand Jury, Amendment 5. The Continental Congress was like a big grand jury.